Hi there, we're here on the ground in Atlanta for Fall Casual Market. We are privileged to have Mr. Bew White with us today from Summer Classics, among others. Bew, thank you for coming today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So, let's kick it off with talking about the brands that fall under your portfolio, your umbrella. Tell us a little bit.
That's what we call it, our umbrella.
Your umbrella.
Yeah. So that's Summer Classics, which I started in 1987. And then my children all came in within a week of each other in 2008. And he got interested because I bought a furniture store in North Alabama and was working on putting indoor and outdoor together. And we were going to call it Summer Classics Home. And then he came up with the great idea of naming it Gabby instead, after my mother, who's Gabriella. And so he started Gabby. It was an immediate success. In fact, it's kind of interesting. We came to this show. I've been showing this show since '87, right?
Oh my goodness!
And all the way to 2008. He was worked on the line for 2 years, and it came out in January of 2010. And he did more volume than we did the first show.
Oh wow!
Okay, this is going to be a winner. So it was a really neat experience to see that happen.
Well, I think one of the things that's interesting about what you all do, and we've been talking about this for a little while, but I think you guys kind of led the way, this synergy between indoor and outdoor. Talk a little bit about how the brands evolved and that synergy now for Whole Home.
They evolved really. William was actually working on a whole collection of products to compete with Restoration Hardware. I mean, that was kind of what it was. When Resto came out with their group that we were working on, we kind of went, okay, we want to do our own thing. So he sort of went after this French, really a French look, a French petite look is what I would call it. And so he was right. It was right on the market. It's what people wanted, and so that worked really well. I didn't talk about this, but my daughter then said, I want my company. And so she did a pillow line called Wendy Jane, and now it has rugs in it. So really it was for the accessories, for the whole store. So the idea of the company was whole store. We could do your entire store. We could do outdoor, indoor, rugs, pillows, umbrellas. So it's a one-stop shop.
Give the consumer something to purchase every time.
And we have 20 stores as a result of that. We did our own, and we started licensing, and that's really worked well. Actually, I kind of like the licensing. It's really hard to open a store, as many people can attest to. So I think licensing's helped us a lot. We've got 4 licensees with 6 stores. So that's really worked well for us too.
Well, I want to go back to something you said, because it has, this has been a tough year for indoor, outdoor, upside down
2 years
for everybody.
2 years of not knowing what the H is going to happen. I mean,
absolutely.
Wednesday is a critical day. You know that, right?
Yeah.
You know why?
Yeah.
The Federal Reserve is going to announce hopefully 50 points, but probably 25.
Yeah.
I was listening to something today that said, the Federal Reserve did the wrong thing on the way up. They went 25s, they should have done 50s, and it looks like they're going to do the wrong thing on the way down, and they're going to do 25s, and they're so far behind, they need to catch up. Hopefully they'll get aggressive here for the rest of this year anyway.
How do you plan for that? I mean, it's been a topsy-turvy roller coaster. How have you guys adjusted your strategy for that?
We more adjusted our overhead because when we doubled in 2 years.
Wow.
In 2021 and 22. So we were going like that. We bought 190,000 square feet of additional warehouse space. We don't like to rent. We were renting to try to, which maybe we should have done, kept up with that instead of buying. But I think long term it's a good decision. So we increased our size from like 800,000 square feet to 1 million square feet.
Wow.
And so that just helped for future growth, frankly. And right now, Summer Classics is in one warehouse and Gabby's in another one. And we're 20 minutes apart, but it would be great if we could put them together again, I think this is going to allow us to do that.
And because
then we had to reduce our overhead dramatically, which means we had layoffs,
Yeah.
which nobody likes to do that.
Right.
We hate doing it. We're used to growing, but we have a plan. We always had a plan to go down 30%. So we've always built the company with the idea that we could reduce 30% and break even. It was the idea. So that's worked for us. Not pleasant doing that. 2008 was we tested that theory that we could do that, and we did it.
Yeah.
And then it started coming back 2010. But the question is, I think the big question for the market is this going to grow again? Are we going to have a growth again like we had? Or did 2021 and 22 take away a whole bunch of demand? And I don't know the answer to that.
You know what? You bring
Taking
up
market share is the answer, really.
You bring up a good point, and I think, we've talked about this on several different levels on all sides, but it's like, what in the world is happening with the consumer right now? And furthermore, what's going to happen 5-10 years from now? Do you have any either insight or
I think
a feeling?
Yes, yeah. I have some insight. I mean, we look at a lot of studies and economists. We actually have an economist on our board, so he's very insightful. We do think there's going to be a problem somewhere around 2030 when the baby boomers, which I'm one of, start turning 80, or some old, like my sister will be 85, so they'll start dying off. And while you don't think about that or don't like to think about it, they're a big part of the economy. They buy insurance and cars and houses and furniture and all that stuff. They still buy that. And so when they're gone, they won't buy that. Now there's a generation coming behind them, but they're not right behind them, which is Generation Z. And that they'll come in, but they won't come in for another 5 or 6 years. That'll be 2036. Hopefully we'll be around. Now, this is speculation, obviously, but we're planning for that sort of growth between now and 2030, and then a huge shrinkage when the baby boomers start. It's not just the baby boomers, it's also the debt.
Yeah.
The incredible amount of debt that the government has, and we're looking at that, and it's unsustainable. Everybody's said it for years. They just don't know how far we can go, and I think we've gone as far as we can go. It may get tested some more, because if you look at the Republican and Democrat ticket, both are talking about how much they want to reduce taxes. I'm going like, really ought to raise taxes, and you really need to reduce spending simultaneously, or you're not going to fix the debt problem. But obviously they want to get elected, so that makes them make all these pronunciations that they're going to reduce taxes.
How do you plan for the consumer that we're talking about in 2036? Because by current accounts and realizing that everything can change in a day, they, as of now, just aren't showing the same kind of buy-in interest in home.
Interestingly enough, our stores, which is about 30% of the volume, are doing pretty well. And our dealers, wholesale, I think they continue to have inventory that they bought during the heyday.
Yeah.
And so until they get rid of that inventory, they're all coming in and saying, our business is pretty good, which we're feeling because we have retail stores, right? So we know it's pretty good. The difference is our retail stores are special order stores. So the inventory all stays in one place, and you order and we make it and we ship it to you relatively fast now, 2 to 4 weeks. And so we don't have inventory. The difference is they have warehouses, and they're buy sell. So we buy, it's on the floor, we sell it, bring new, and it's I think that's a very difficult model now, because who can guess who's going to walk in your store and what they're going to want?
Right.
And they're trying to do that, and I think that's a business model that's really difficult, because who can guess what their customer wants before they do? Right. You have to be a genius.
Right.
And when you're doing just floor samples, you can change your floor around really quick, and we change our floor 3 or 4 times a year, completely redo the stores and make them fresh, so when the customer comes back, they're like, wow, this is like a different place, We're working on, this is really key, and this is going to take a couple of years, the synergy between the lines. So as our customers get older, the line Gabby and Summer Classics, we want a customer to come in and want to go, really Gabby was started for the younger generation, my kids' age, right? And they love it, but now they're growing up, and we want Summer Classics and Gabby to have this synergy where if you're doing a beach house, you can do all Gabby inside and all Summer Classics outside, and mountain house or lake house or whatever it is. I think it's going to be a game changer for us because it gives us a concentration on what we can work on to make the business better.
Well, we'll wrap up with, what are your expectations for the rest of 24?
By the way, this market,
Yeah.
I came late to the meeting and we had tons of customers already. So
Nice.
I think people are getting used to the fact that September market is what's going to be the outdoor market now. So I think that's going to help everybody, focus on this market. 25, I think it's going to be a much better year than this year. So we've had 2 years of going down, and now we're going to bridge that. The first quarter is probably going to be tough because it's very hard to prepare, and people are buying cautiously. They're just not buying like they used to, which is understandable.
Right.
So 25 is going to be better, probably later in second quarter. And then 26, you'll start to see it go back up again. And look at the stock market. I mean, if the stock market's any indication, we're going to have an incredible couple of years here.
Right.
And I hope, fortunately, I have a lot of stocks, so that's help me on that side.
Well, we will end on that high note.
Thank you. Yeah, that's how
we'll
I know.
continue this conversation in the months to come.
Thanks, Andy. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you
Thanks.
so much.
Thanks for having me.
Stay tuned.